everyone!
Welcome to the Let's Go Show and part 2 of our series on fear. So, I was looking at some common fears or phobias.
Wait, what's a phobia?
It's just like a fancy way to describe an abnormal fear of something, like scared to a point where it affects someone's life.
Oh, so like fear of heights or small spaces or spiders or public speaking or FOMO?
Yeah, there's actually way more phobias than I thought. Let me read you a list.
Okay.
Xanthobia is the fear of anything yellow. Genophobia is the fear of knees or kneeling. Globophobia is the fear of balloons. Geliophobia is the fear of laughter. Turophobia is the fear of cheese. Esotrophobia is the fear of mirrors.
Okay, there really are a ton of them.
Could you relate to any of those I listed?
Fear of cheese maybe. I'm lactose intolerant.
Oof.
Yeah. Anyways, in today's episode, we're gonna talk about how we can overcome fear because fear is something we all deal with at some point.
So you're saying we shouldn't take the fear of balloons seriously?
Well, maybe, but no. Fears are real, but not something that we have to be controlled by.
Well, how are we supposed to not let that happen?
Today's main point answers that perfectly. And it says this: I won't fear because God is strong.
So you're saying we don't have to be afraid because God is strong? What does that exactly mean?
That sounds like a great question for small groups. Guys, how can we let God's strength overcome our fears? How can God's strength teach us not to be controlled by fear?
Jimmy, what are you doing?
Get in!
What is this?
A fortress.
A fortress?
Yep. Protection. Safety. No fear can get me in here.
So you're still afraid?
Well, of course. Fear keeps me safe, bro. If I'm scared, I won't take risks. No risks means no problems. Boom! Problem solved.
Actually, fear isn't helping you. It's hurting you.
Hurting me? But it feels so protective.
Let me explain.
Whoa, that Bible's tiny.
I always keep a tiny Bible in my pocket in case I'm dragged into a crowded fortress.
What?
Anyway, fear can stop you from living the life God wants you to live.
So fear's like a thief?
Exactly. Fear steals peace. It steals joy. It can even steal your trust in God.
Okay, that sounds pretty bad.
Jesus actually said, "Don't let your hearts be troubled. Believe in God. Believe also in me." John 14:1. Fear tries to trouble your heart, but faith reminds you that God is in control.
But what if fear keeps me from making mistakes?
Then it keeps you from growing. Remember the parable of the talents? One servant buried his money because he was afraid, and his master wasn't happy. Fear kept him from doing what was good.
Whoa, so fear doesn't just hold me back, it makes God sad?
Yep. God doesn't want fear running your life. He wants faith running your life. Romans 8:15 says we haven't received a spirit of slavery to fall back into fear, but we've received the spirit of adoption as God's children.
So if I let fear control me, it's like I'm living in chains?
Exactly. Fear is like a prison. Faith sets you free.
A prison? I've been locking myself in a fortress of fear this whole time!
Yep. And the key to get out is trusting in God.
Okay, no more fear. From now on, I'm walking in faith.
That's the way.
Ow!
Careful, fearless one. Faith doesn't mean ignoring the floor.
Noted.
The Bible tells a story of a fearless man named Daniel who loved God and prayed 3 times every single day. Daniel was a Jewish man who had been sent into exile after the Israelites were defeated in a battle by a foreign king. While the Israelites were in exile, Daniel served under King Darius as his administrator. And the king loved Daniel. So much so that Darius planned to one day put Daniel in charge of the entire kingdom. This made the other officials jealous and angry. They wanted to get rid of Daniel, so they crafted an evil plan and tricked King Darius into signing an irreversible order. This order said that anyone who was caught praying to anyone other than King Darius was to be thrown into a den of hungry lions. Daniel, in the face of great fear, chose to continue kneeling and praying to God 3 times a day, every single day. The other officials told King Darius that Daniel was still praying to God, which meant that Daniel had to be thrown into the den of hungry lions. The problem was that King Darius loved Daniel and didn't want to throw him into the lion's den, but he had no choice. So, Daniel was thrown into the lion's den and a massive stone was rolled in front of the entrance. The next morning, Darius rushed to the entrance of the lion's den and ordered the stone to be rolled away. Once the stone was moved, he shouted to see if Daniel was alive. And to his surprise, Daniel answered Darius and said,
"My God sent his angel, and he shut the mouths of the lions. They have not hurt me, because I was found innocent in his sight."
This story shows us how even in the face of great fear, we can choose to overcome that fear and trust God. Just like Daniel continued to fearlessly pray to God, we too can face impossible and scary situations with no fear, because our God is a good God who is always with us, even in the lion's den.
Okay, what? Daniel made it through an entire night inside of a cave with hungry lions without being eaten?
That's what our Bible says, so it's gotta be true. Isn't that incredible?
What? Like, how? That doesn't make any sense. What kept the lions from tearing him into pieces?
It had to be God's strength that protected Daniel. That's the only thing that could keep those lions' mouths closed.
I can't imagine how scared Daniel must have been as he was on the edge of the cave right before he was thrown in. He probably thought he was done for.
There's only one thing that could have allowed Daniel to overcome his fear, and it was this. He knew that God was strong enough to save him.
Well, I want God's strength to make me fearless just like Daniel did.
I do too. Overcoming fear isn't easy and it takes time, but God is always with us. And as we talk to him more and read his word, his strength becomes what gives us the ability to overcome fear.
Odds are you'll probably never find yourself in a den with hungry lions, but we will find ourselves in other types of scary situations. Maybe a time when someone is making fun of us because we love Jesus, or in a situation when it feels like anxiety is going to drive us crazy.
It's in those moments that we need to rely on God's strength and let it break the chains of fear off of us.
Because when we live without being controlled by fear, we're able to show the entire world the goodness of God.
Remember guys, just like Daniel in the lion's den, you do not have to live controlled by fear. We're all going to face things that make us scared, and that's just a part of life, but we do not have to be fearful.
And that's because God is strong and his strength shows us how to be overcomers. Now, Anderson, that was an epic story. How do you feel?
I'm feeling good, Dax. I'm ready to jump in today, trusting God's strength and living above my fears.
That's what I'm talking about. Just like Anderson, you guys go and have the best, most fearless day ever, and we'll see you next time.